I am Jeremy Houghton. I'm the Visual Artist in Residence for the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. So I call myself an artist in residence because all of my work is inspired by the various places that I've been invited into to paint. I usually try and go behind closed doors and try and give a bit of a different perspective on what lies within, try and tell people, show people the various aspects and perspectives of the things they might normally see. I'll try and find a little bit of a dialogue, in this case between sound and image, and I'll also look for commonalities between the music and my work. And the commonalities could be things like harmony, or tension, or balance, contrast. These are all the things I'm looking at when I'm creating a picture. And I think, this is what I'm going to find out, I think it's a similar approach that musicians might use when they are trying to tell the story with their music. So I work with a lot of contrast. I work with light areas and dark areas. I'm trying to get great three-dimensionality with my pictures, so I get the light areas to come forward out of the page, the dark areas to come back and recede. I think the conductor and the musicians will do the same thing. They'll try and get that sort of three-dimensionality within the space that they're playing. I work with shapes, and I'm very interested with how the musicians shape their music and shape their performances. And just getting behind the scenes and getting to know them. Usually they're seen in public, they're dressed in, white tie, and, it's all very formal and smart. For me, I find it quite interesting to go behind the scenes, behind stage, and see the suitcases and carriers which are all battered and which have so much character and meaning. And even some of the old instruments. I've just seen the back of a beautiful cello, and it's all scratched and marked. It's got so much history and so much storytelling. And again, I'm in the business of storytelling and trying to tell a story and find a narrative. And through the back of the cello or the suitcases, I can often find little bits of stories which I can tease out. So that's what I'll be looking for here. This early stage, I'm still trying to tease out the narrative which I want to sort of hang my hat on. Because there's so much going on with so many people, so many concerts. You can't paint everything. So you've got to find some sort of focus, some sort of angle that is a sort of way in. And then once I've established that, I can then explore that theme further and see what unfolds.
Piano, when it says piano. 1, 2, and 2.
I use the colour blue because I feel it helps me with my portrayal of movement. And movement is a theme that I've worked with all sorts of residencies. And to paint movement, it's a constant process of elimination, and it's a constant process of distillation. You've got to sort of rule out the detail and just provide the raw essentials of the composition. So I did that a lot, and then I thought, shall I take that concept further with my palette? So I reduced my palette. I got rid of all the distracting colour. And that left me with almost a monochromatic palette, which in this case was blues. And for me, it just helped focus on the two things which are so important, and that is tone, which means sort of, contrast, that and the shape. If you get the tone and the shape right, you are, really onto something. So it was kind of by accident that the blue helped bring out those feelings I was trying to get to. And I also like the sort of nostalgic feel that the blue tints have. For me, they give a sort of nostalgic feel, a timeless feel. And if I can bring out the feeling of nostalgia in my paintings, I feel like I've also achieved something. When I'm looking at the layout of the orchestra altogether, I find their shapes incredible. And that's the shapes of the individual musicians. It's the shape of the collective. I work with lights and dark shapes, and I'm looking at those contrasts. And straight away, if you get the opportunity to sort of circle the orchestra, so go in front of them, go behind them, even go above them, straight away in the arc of the way they're laid out, you see wonderful shapes. Those forms are what really help me to get the message across on my canvas. So I hope that I'm not just producing a record of an orchestra playing. I hope people see the paintings and it brings out in them some of the feelings that they get when they are watching live music. I've painted all sorts of things on my journey, and one of the things I painted was in the Olympics. I was working with the sailors, and I did all the sailing pictures down at Weymouth. And one of the biggest compliments I got from my sailing pictures was that they make this particular person feel seasick, which for me was perfect because my pictures were bringing out the emotions of being on that boat. So if I can do the same thing with my pictures of the orchestra, sort of get my pictures to tease out of the viewer that feeling of listening to live orchestral music, I feel like I've achieved something.